Hi, everyone. Last week, I went to the Peel District School Board Special Education Advisory Committee to delegate on an issue that is very important to me and to my family: primary special education programs. My children are about to enter grade 1 for next year, and my daughter specifically needs and would benefit from a specialized setting, more so than the typical grade 1 classroom. And so I went to go delegate to present to the committee on the issue that families are experiencing. Unfortunately, my delegation was not recorded or live streamed due to the Minister of Education canceling all live streaming of boards under supervision, which included the Peel District School Board. This was the first meeting that the live streaming had ended, and there was no notice given to the public or to the committee themselves. This came to the whole room as a surprise because I had already delegated, motions had already been passed, and the delegation had been received by the committee. So I'm coming here today to give my delegation again, record it for public record so that it can be shared and the message can be heard widely throughout the community. My name is Julia Evangelisto, and I'm a teacher with the Peel District School Board, but I've been on leave since 2020. I'm not speaking as a teacher, but as a parent of kindergarten students with multiple disabilities to speak about the growing gap in access to learning environments and specialized program options for students with high support needs in kindergarten, grades 1 and 2, creating barriers for students with disabilities to access an education meaningfully from the very beginning of their school experience. The Peel District School Board provides specialized programs beginning in grade 3. This creates a gap in the early primary grades where students who require such specialized programs are left waiting for a class placement for up to 5 years. Families are being forced to make hard decisions for their child with disabilities, such as extended time in kindergarten, modified school days, or stepping away from school altogether, because they do not have access to what they need when they need it the most. Students with disabilities have the right to equal access to meaningful education under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Families understand that inclusion is the goal, but it must include appropriate supports. While families support inclusion, they know it is not a one-size-fits-all approach. There will always be children whose needs require access to specialized classroom settings and a high level of support. Inclusion without the appropriate supports is not access, it is not equity, and it is not meeting the needs of students with disabilities. This is not just a perception. This is reflected in the board's own special education plans over the last 5 years. This data shows a clear shift over time, with a reduction in access to specialized supports, especially in the primary grades. Flexible itinerant support has been significantly reduced by 65% over the last 5 years, alongside a significant drop in educational assistance support in the most recent year by 25%. This is not specific to Peel. It reflects a broader shift in how special education supports are being delivered across the province. The Auditor General's report confirms that student needs have become increasingly complex, while educators and staff are overextended and struggling to access the resources necessary to fully support students in these environments. The report highlights that even when needs are identified and supports are outlined through individual education plans, students are not always provided the learning environments that meet their individual needs. Schools struggle to provide the staffing and resources required to fully implement and deliver the plan. This reality is not due to a lack of effort. Principals, educational assistants, teachers, and all frontline staff are truly doing the best they can with what they have available to them. Many are supporting multiple students or complex needs across classrooms without the time, staffing levels, or resources required to provide consistent and meaningful support. In that reality, much of their time is focused on safety, regulation, and immediate needs. While those supports are essential, they often come at the expense of meaningful learning opportunities. In practice, this often leads to a delay. By adopting a wait-and-see approach in grades 1 and 2, Support is being delayed when we already know that a child with identified disabilities needs help to access meaningful learning from the start. From a parent perspective, this is the most difficult part. Knowing that our children are present in the classroom, but not learning in an environment that meets them where they are at. And this is where the impact becomes very real for families. It's not just that supports are delayed or that classrooms are overwhelmed. It's that for some children, the environment they need to learn simply does not exist anymore. Many of us are left watching our children struggle, knowing that the right environment, the right support, and the right placement would make all the difference in the world. These are the foundational years, and they matter. From birth to 8 years old is the most critical period for human development. Students are building skills they need to access all future learning: literacy, communication, regulation, and social development. Every year spent waiting for access to appropriate programs is a year where students are not being provided with a meaningful education at a critical stage in their development. For some children with disabilities, these foundational life skills are not temporary goals. They are the core of their learning. Delaying access to the environments and supports required to develop these skills is not a short delay. It is a critical delay in accessing education in a meaningful and equitable way. These years cannot be recovered. I applaud SEAC for your continued advocacy to ensure that inclusion is supported with adequate staffing and resources. Your work has been and continues to be vital in partnership with the PDSB in supporting students with disabilities. In closing, there is a huge gap in special education at the PDSB for primary grade students. Retaining a student in kindergarten for an additional time is no substitute for appropriate grade 1 placements. Postponing programming for children with disabilities until grade 3 without alternatives that are appropriate does not reduce the demand for specialized settings. I respectfully ask this committee to consider putting forth a motion to the board so that accessibility to the Learning Hub programs is expanded to include grades 1 and 2. Delaying access does not reduce the need. Needs don't disappear, they simply go unmet. Thank you.